it's really important to be with some company, or have even if you're an entrepreneur, be able to do something that you love at the end of the day, or you can at least have an anchor within it that you love. And so even if you have days where I'm just like, dang, I can't do this, like this is not this is not where I want to be, or I'm doing this really tedious administrative task. Even if that's the case, you still want to make sure that at the end of the day, this is something that you can connect to and that is going to keep you going. And like by the end of the week, you're like, well, that was a tedious task and I hated it, but I had to get through it so that I could get to the end goal, which is, to do whatever. And that's something that is really connected to, again, your purpose and something that's meaningful and connects to your values.
This is a podcast about networking. Networking is the ability to communicate and establish relationships to help you and others progress in their future endeavors. In light of the world changing right in front of our eyes, it's very important, now more than ever, to learn and master the skill of networking. It used to just be about physical networking, but with social media now being a part of our daily lives, the ability to share dialogue has shifted from face to face to screen to screen. Today, more people are becoming more social on social media and missing the tools of how to be social in real life. In order to establish your network, you have to learn how to communicate both on and off the screen. Creating and maintaining your network is the key to unlocking your potential within yourself and opens the door to the endless possibilities of a successful future. This podcast teaches you how to establish your network and how to maintain relationships on and off your screen. Hey, nice to meet you. The Networking Podcast, hosted by Desiree Jones. It's a pleasure to meet you. Talk soon. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Desiree Jones, or Des for short, and welcome to Hey, nice to meet you, the Networking Podcast, the podcast that teaches you how to communicate, establish your network, and maintain relationships both on and off your screen. And today's topic is, hey, do you have a meaningful career? Having a career is great, but is it meaningful? So today, we'll discuss more on what it means to have a meaningful career with my good friend, Tobi Shannon. Whoop, whoop.
Hey, y'all.
Hey. So we're going to do a little intro. Tobi is a connector to resources and an advocate for community-based philanthropy. Ooh, Jesus. She actively works with stakeholders in the public, private, and social sectors who want to deploy capital and resources within overlooked and underfunded communities. Tobi believes in radical change by any means necessary and is dedicated to being a co-conspirator by supporting folks who are on the ground every day fighting for our collective liberation. Tobi Shannon, welcome to the podcast. Hey, girl, hey.
Thank you. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited, just enjoying the festivities of the summer that lie ahead. I'm ready to be outside, to be honest. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's time. So, within reason, depending on what the news say, but we here. Yeah. So I'm excited. So Tobi, we met through HBCU VC. That was our connection, which was a great journey. HBCU Venture Capital. I promote them all the time because
highly recommend.
Hello. HBCU VC, great organization. So we're going to get more into your meaningful career. But before we get into the topic, we're going to get into our book of the day, Tobi. So we do a book of the day on this podcast every episode because reading is fundamental, right? And it's very important to continue to make it a habit. Yes. If you prefer audiobooks, because that's the thing now, that's fine. But sometimes, something about the touch of a book, and the flip of a page brings solitude to the mind. So with that, today's book, Tobi, you have your book for today. What is the book of the day for this episode, for this podcast?
Yes, directly connected to the topic we'll be talking about today. I looked over, I have like this pile of books. It's unnecessary, honestly. I need another bookcase, but it's called Pleasure Activism. It's by Adrienne Marie Brown. And it's really talking about something that is really core to me, which is understanding my body and understanding how I situate myself in the world. and how that connects to my activism as a person, how I advocate for myself, for other people, and how I find pleasure in that. I think that a lot of times, you see activists, especially who have work that is super draining and they don't necessarily practice self-care or take care of themselves because they're always giving to others. But you can't really give from a cup that is empty. And so you want to make sure that you're good, and so that you can put into the world, utilize your gifts to be able to make the world a better place, so to speak. So that is my book for today. Pleasure Activism, Adrienne Maree Brown. Very dope person. Highly recommend.
Okay. Pleasure Activism by Adrienne Maree Brown. We're going to put that in the notes for people to go check out wherever it's sold, because, people really, you never know what people could be interested in when it comes to books, which is what I'm learning. So I like this. And I totally agree. I used to be a person that used to give, without pouring into myself. And I'm just now honestly learning how to pour into myself without feeling bad about not pouring into others. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was the same way. Still working on it. We are work in progress.
Yeah.
And we just, we move forward.
We move forward and we move in purpose, which leads us to our topic, finding a career that is meaningful to you. So Tobi, tell us about, I guess, your career or your career journey and what led you to having a meaningful career, because it sounds like you're in that season of a meaningful career. Am I correct?
Yeah, I would say so. So I guess I'll start from the beginning of my career, so to speak. After I graduated from undergrad, I graduated with a BA in International Studies, and
I graduated from which school?
From Spelman College.
Okay.
Hey, shout out to Spelman. And Spelman really drives home the fact that just as much as you put into your career, you want to make sure that you're putting into your service to the world as well, and making sure that you're giving back to your community. That was also the way that I was raised. And so I was trying to find that within anything that I did post grad. And I think that one of the, I guess, hallmark stories, I should say, of my career is, being able to work for a rather large tech company. And when they recruited me off of campus, I was, excited, of course, because it was my first big girl job. But also I didn't do the necessary vetting that I probably should have and probably would have landed me in a better place. And so I ended up moving across the country to Seattle and, working for them as a technical recruiter. And in my mind, I was like, okay, recruiting, that's like, providing resources, so that people can get a job. That was where I was like honing in on my purpose. And I think that it was really, I guess the pinnacle of it and, me reaching kind of my breaking point was when I figured out that just because I thought that, I could provide purposeful work, essentially being able to give somebody a job, didn't mean that that was how the company saw it. And it was really important, for me to understand a little bit more about how to connect my purpose with the actual people who were at the job, who, like from my boss to my coworkers and, what was their mindset. And then also understanding, what the company was about and what their purpose or their mission was, so to speak. And, not every company even has a mission. And so that's something that I didn't necessarily vet with this job. And then also the job description itself and understanding whether that job description actually had anything to do with what was at the core for me and what I wanted from a career. And so it took me about a year to understand that a little bit more and understand how that was something. I mean, you're at your job 24/7, right? Well, maybe not 24/7. You shouldn't be at your job.
I hope not. I don't want to be at my
job.
But
you spend a majority of your day at your job, right? And so for me, it's really important that if I'm going to do this job, if I'm going to do labor, I want to make sure that it's something that is, meaningful to me, that I feel good about, that I can go home every day, after I shut down my computer and say, okay, this is something that I really enjoy. or at least enjoy enough to be able to make a living from it. So
Right.
for me, that was something that I'd never really had anybody to talk to about post grad. And so that landed me in this place where I was kind of miserable at my first job. And I heard that from a lot of people. They're like, yeah, my first job wasn't, you know, the job that I necessarily wanted, but I just pushed through and things like that. And so I guess I'm here to say your first job can be something you like to do. It can be something that connects to the, you know, the core of who you are and what your values are, but you have to be willing to vet that job, vet the people that are at that job, vet, you know, how they describe that job to make sure that it's connecting to something within you. So I think that's all I really have to say about it. I think I would say now I have done that a little bit better within my time. Just, you know, with HBCU for instance, being able to like take part in fellowships as well as internships and actual day job where I'm able to connect with what I actually love to do, which is, you know, what you read in my bio, connecting and deploying capital within communities that really deserve it but are often overlooked. And so for me, that's something that's really important, especially as we kind of take a look at this systemic issue of resources not being distributed evenly and equitably. And so for me, it's really important to ensure that people are getting opportunities and having access to opportunities and knowing that those opportunities are out there. And I would say that now I'm in a place where I'm actually able to do that. And, you know, there's still a few caveats. Nothing is perfect. And I'm still definitely a little bit earlier in my journey than some people. But I think that this idea of having a meaningful career or having a purpose-filled career is something that people haven't really thought of before and haven't necessarily had the privilege or opportunity to access. But I think that for me, I want to be able to so to spread the word, so to speak, that is something that is attainable and that you can be passionate about your job. It doesn't have to be your everyday life. My job is not my everyday life, but it is something that, you know, I feel comfortable and feel a little bit excited, if not all the time excited to, you know, show up to and be able to put work in and know that I'm, you know, touching communities that I want to and supporting my community and making sure that they're getting the resources they need.
That's amazing. And I totally agree with you. Having a purposeful career, having a meaningful career does make all the difference, especially when you have to wake up to go to this job and be in this role every single day, because that's kind of the way it helps you fund and live your life the best way you can. So I guess we're going to get into the next segment, which we kind of touched here. It's called Then It All Went Left. So in this segment, we talk about a situation that went like totally terrible, but led to the right path. So for you, you mentioned, you know, having your first job and then realizing like this wasn't that. So you don't have to go too much into detail, but like, what do you think was the moment that your perception kind of went left? Like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Like how it was?
Distinctly.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't get too much into it, but essentially when I tried to create my own version of the role that they wanted me to do, essentially. And I had talked my boss into it. Everything was going great. And then it was sort of like a trial, I guess, in my boss's mind. And so they ended up, you know, sitting me down and saying, hey, this was great and glad that you could do this and glad that you're excited about this. However, we need you to like actually do whatever is necessary to like, you know, fill the quota essentially, which required me to do what I wanted to do, which was connect with people face to face and instead be behind a screen all day. And that just wasn't working for me. It just wasn't I wasn't talking to people, or if I was talking to people on the phone, it was like very short conversations, and I'm a people person. And so I want to be out front, and I want to be, like enticing people into like, this why you should join the company if I'm going to be a recruiter,
Right.
and that's just not what they had in mind for me and for the role that I was in. And so I had to make a decision about what it looked like for me to leave that position, even though it was like, tech, Seattle is very tech driven, and all my friends were in tech, and I was scared because I was like, man, what am I going to do if I, don't, I guess, fulfill this fantasy that I had of myself of being in this tech crowd and like being able to give people jobs and stuff like that. Like, what is next? I had no idea. And so, yeah, I would say that was kind of like the low point. And there are a few things I learned from it, but.
Oh, like what? What did you learn from this overall?
I would say the top thing that I learned from it was definitely not being afraid to ask for what I needed and what I wanted. And like I said earlier, your job is something that you spend 8 to 9 hours at each day. And, it's really important to be with some company, or, even if you're an entrepreneur, be able to do something that you love at the end of the day, or you can at least have an anchor within it that you love. And so even if, you have days where, I'm just like, dang, I can't do this. Like, this is not, this is not where I want to be. Or, I'm doing this really tedious administrative task. Even if that's the case, you still want to make sure that at the end of the day, this is something that you can connect to and that is going to keep you going. And like, by the end of the week, you're like, well, that was a tedious task and I hated it, but I had to get through it so that I could get to the end goal, which is, to do whatever. And that's something that is really connected to, again, your purpose and something that's meaningful and connects to your values.
I feel that. No, I feel that for real, because I used to struggle with like speaking up or advocating for myself, but it wasn't until I have the current role that I have now that I actually was like, this is what I know I'm good at. This is what I know that I enjoy. This is what I know that I would love to learn more about. And I wasn't afraid to let them know, like, this is who I am. This is how I am. Like, this is what I've learned. And, being open and honest I believe being open and honest with, the people that hired me, it kind of opened the door to them knowing, okay, she expressed, this is what she knows she can do. They can already kind of not just find a path for me, but I could potentially provide a path, that they've never either seen before, or I could continue to do things that pertain to the path that they already kind of set for that role. So being open kind of sets the foundation for what to expect when it comes to the role that you will, potentially get. So had I not, because it used to be a point where when I was interning, even like during my post grad, like my left story, like I talk about in the first episode, like I used to take a scooter to work at 4 a.m. I was like, ooh. I was an entrepreneur. Yeah, girl. I was Home Depot. Like, it was a lot. But like during that journey and me trying to find myself and figure out my skills, while I was applying to jobs, I was essentially lying. I was like, okay, I just need money. So I fix my resume a certain way just to appease the role. But sometimes that could backfire, because if you kind of fix your resume to achieve some type of role, you get the role and it's like, okay, this isn't what I expected. So at the end of the day, me being truthful helped along the way. And it led me to my purpose. And like, once you're true with your purpose, you're true with your not just your purpose, but you're true with your purpose, and you're true with your meaningful career that can help guide you with wherever it is you're destined to be placed, to help other people and kind of fulfill the mission that you have essentially for your destiny or your goals, anything like that. And that's real. Like, you can't really beat that.
As a compliment to that, I'll say, I think that finding something like extracurricular activity, a little hobby, something that you can do like after you get off work, or even maybe before you get off work, maybe it's working out or whatever. Something that you love. And I think that is what, again, this is like the human experience, trying to keep you going. Okay. Like we're all trying to live out here. We're all trying to, do what we got to do what we want to do. And sometimes that requires you to like make a little bit of sacrifice. And so if you find yourself in that situation, it doesn't have to be your full career. It can be something that, just gives you life for like a few hours a day. But I'm a strong advocate, again, like pleasure activism, strong advocate of self-care and understanding like what drives you, what is your anchor, how do you go about your life, and what really makes you tick. So
that's real. That's real. And then like, even when you think about like, what does it mean? As long as you know, like, what does it mean to be meaningful? Because some people might not even realize that either they're in a meaningful career or they're not in one, and they thought they were,
right.
Like, I thought this was a meaningful career, but actually it's not. Just kidding. Like, this isn't what I want.
Literally. Yes. Have definitely been in that situation. Yeah.
But you're right. It's all a part of our human experience, our human journey of life, because we're here for a minute. So we have time to figure out what it is that we want. And even when, we have that situation of going left, eventually, it went right for us down the road. But it's because we had to learn certain things and certain, just ideas that we thought we knew, because there was times where I thought I was a know-it-all, and now I'm like, I don't know nothing. And I have to keep that in the back of my head, because just because I'm in a meaningful career doesn't mean I know everything in my meaningful career, So it's all life lessons. So now we're going to get into this. We got 2 more segments. So this is one of my favorites. It's called the 100 Commandments of Confidence, because and of course, this is all about networking. Like, this is not just about meaningful careers, of course, but like there was networking involved in all of this. So when you're getting into that meaningful career, it's important to have confidence in yourself to get to that point. So every episode we ask, or we provide a commandment of confidence for our listeners. So Tobi, what is your commandment of confidence to give for today?
Yes. So my commandment of confidence would be, you deserve to live your life abundantly, and you are worthy of a career that allows you to do so.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would say that's my commandment. Do you want me to expand on it, or?
By all means. I love it.
Okay. Yeah. I just think that a lot of times people, alongside, people thinking that, you're supposed to hate your job and stuff like that, or just do any type of job and not have any purpose connected to it. I think that people think that you don't deserve to have a job that you like. And a lot of times that's not the case. And you need to make sure that, you're living your life for yourself, and you're having a career that really, again, connects you to your core, and that you get excited about. And you're worthy of that, and you deserve that.
Absolutely. That's more of like the pour into yourself. You have to continue to pour into yourself abundantly, and you don't want to pour out of an empty cup. So you deserve to live your life abundantly, and you are worthy of a career that allows you to do that. That is a commandment of confidence for today. Absolutely. And our last segment we got is the follow-up hack, because of course this is a networking podcast, and it's always good to have a follow-up, because you just never know who you're going to connect with and how a follow-up can lead to that next level in your life or your meaningful career. Yes. So what will be a follow-up hack for the people out here?
Yeah. So I would say sending a news article that's relevant to the person's business or what you all talked about, or even a reading, like a book of the day, that you found interesting, that you think that person might like. I think that's a great way to follow up with somebody. It shows that you're actually listening to what they have to say. It also shows that, you're trying to further, their education about a certain topic, or further their, ideas and formations of that. So, yeah.
Send that article. Send any articles. LinkedIn has a lot of random great articles that are meaningful.
What?
Like
so many.
I'll be looking on there in the mornings, because they give it to us every day. Like, oh yeah, there's an article. Or even the commentary from some people who comment on the articles, like in their own posts.
sometimes it blows me away. So that's a good one. I didn't think about that. Okay. Sending a news article. So if y'all see any articles out there, send some news articles. That's great. So, but Tobi, this was so great. Like, I just want to say, I really appreciate you just doing all that you've done so far. Like, I've been watching you on Social Girl. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm just rooting for you, like through the screen. Like, I know, I was supposed to go to LA, but we were in a panoramic.
And I need to come to Atlanta again, maybe sometime soon.
Yeah. Oh, fun fact. I'm not in LA anymore. I'm actually in
the
DMV.
Yes, Alexandria. You did say that. Oh my gosh, yes. But okay, I'm definitely coming that way soon.
Bet. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Yeah. I mean, Atlanta's still cool. It's gonna look crazy though. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's gonna look crazy. So I kind of like the DMV a little better.
I feel that. I do.
It's a little more calm.
Yeah, for sure.
So we gonna turn up either way. But this is awesome. And where can the people reach you?
So all my handles are pretty much the same. On Instagram, Tobi with an I, that's Tobi, the word with AN, because we grammar girls out here, EYE. And it's the same on Twitter. I need y'all to follow me on Twitter and I'll follow you back. But for real, I have no followers on Twitter because I started a new one like 2 years ago. And then on LinkedIn, definitely connect with me, Tobi Shannon. And yeah, I got a few things going on. So please connect, reach out, send me a news article.
Hey,
always down to talk about meaningful careers and, community activism, anything like that.
Awesome. Oh, this is so great. I got you. I'm gonna follow you on Twitter too. Like I tried to get back. HBCU VC told us to get on Twitter, so that's the only reason why I have it. So I'm like, ooh, but I had to take a break. It's still getting crazy, but yeah, Twitter is wild.
Twitter's
wild, and who just bought Twitter, so we just
exactly.
We gonna see. But yeah, thank you, Tobi. This is great. We gonna link one of these days in person. You might just have it podcast in person. Who knows? But yeah, I'm so right. So I'm so excited for everything you got going on. And I hope everyone who listened just continue to network, continue to think about your meaningful careers. And if you have any questions about it, you know who to talk to now. So that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for listening and continue to shine bright. This is Desiree Jones at the Book of Des. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's Desiree Jones Video Creative. We appreciate y'all and have a great rest of your day. Shine bright. Bye.